Hey everybody, off the Mike Sports Network here. Another edition of Draft Thoughts here. We're gonna just call this Draft Thoughts. And so we're here the morning after of what was a monumental trade for the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cleveland Browns. And the narrative surrounding this is bizarre to me because obviously the Jags in the moment got the better player. It's clear. I mean, that's how some of these things work. It's like, okay, in the moment, somebody's going to get the better player. The Jags took a risk, and hey, they got Travis Hunter. But there's a reason why trades like this don't happen, except if you're trading up for a quarterback, and that's what I keep going back to. That Browns fans are completely failing to understand is, they just the Browns need pieces. They need help. And yeah, they didn't take the sexy pick at 5, and yeah, maybe you don't trust Andrew Berry to make these picks, but like I'm seeing somebody like Tony Grossi, and I know nobody gives a shit what Tony Grossi says. And Tony Grossi's basically on local radio on Friday morning and basically says, "Yeah, I've lost all faith in Andrew Berry after what happened last night." I was like, "What about the previous 5 years of picks that he made? He finally makes a good move and y'all are mad?" What is with this fan base? What is with this fan base? Guys, the Browns took a big swing on a flashy prospect. They got the guy that they want. And what did that get us? It got us 50 feet of jack shit. Got us nothing. Absolutely nothing. The Browns have a monumental mess on their hands because they traded 3 years worth of first round picks and they have a contract that they have to work their way out of. They need pieces. They need multiple pieces. Travis Hunter, just because he plays two positions, wasn't going to fix that. And again, I will repeat this until I'm blue in the face. I wanted Travis Hunter on this team. But seeing what they got, and obviously we'll have to, revisit this after the draft, and we'll have to revisit this when really in a couple of years when really this trade will kind of come to fruition because we still have the first round pick next year. That's the other part of this that I've been consistently saying. They have set themselves up, whether they want to do it tonight or whether they want to do it on Saturday or whether they want to do it in 2026. They are in position to take their quarterback of the future. They have an extra pick. They have multiple extra picks that they picked up as a result of this move. And yet everybody's mad at Andrew Berry for making what was the most obvious move that you have to make. Like everybody's fixated on the capital and everything. Like I saw Dan Orlovsky was saying, "Yeah, it wasn't that much to give up." Yeah, it was. For a guy who doesn't even play the most important position, guy plays wide receiver and quarterback. Yeah, he's a generational talent and he won the Heisman Trophy, but what is wrong with this fan base? What is wrong with this fan base? What is wrong with the NFL media that seems to be so fixated on, Travis Hunter being the best player in the draft? And, how could the Browns trade out of that? I was like, easy. They were in really a bad scenario. The guy that they wanted was Cam Ward. That's the guy that they wanted. They wanted Cam Ward. It was clear as day. You heard that throughout the process. They wanted Cam Ward. Then people were trying to rationalize this into Shedeur Sanders, and you saw Shedeur wasn't the second best quarterback in this draft, and he's still on the board for them to potentially take at 33 or 36. They wanted Cam Ward. They wanted to take a quarterback. The quarterback wasn't there. Travis Hunter would have been fine. And then the word is, according to Jason Lloyd, that they'd been working on this for a while, and it was on the condition they had an agreement in principle with the Jags that it was contingent on the fact that Cam Ward was somehow not, and they knew, but they wanted to take this down to the wire, and so they negotiated this, and hey, they did a good job. But I'm seeing these Nico Harrison, Andrew Berry comparisons. Like, what are we talking about, guys? This is you don't historically. I think this might be the first type of move of that nature for a non-quarterback inside the top 5. You just don't see this in the NFL. And like, if you're Andrew Berry, like you might have gotten fired if you didn't make this trade, because as great as Travis Hunter might be, I don't think he's gonna change anything in Jacksonville. Like, he'll be great. He'll probably be great. Like, he'll do, but I don't think he's helping them win a damn Super Bowl. Like, James Gladstone their GM, who's younger than me, by the way, like, traded a bunch of picks. He's a part of the whole F them picks Rams, regime, so he knows that. And so, they don't even know their team. Him and Liam Cohen. This is a great point made by John Middlecoff on the Colin Cowherd podcast. It's like, yeah, they don't even know their team. And you're trading a bunch of picks away to get a non-quarterback at number 2 overall when you don't even know if your quarterback's any good. Some of your pieces around him. It's like this has been a dysfunctional or a historically dysfunctional organization for a long time. So the Browns saw that. They saw the value that they were getting. They got out of 2. They got the guy who I think, outside of the 2 pieces that were not Cam Ward, that were going to probably be available. Like I said, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and then it was Mason Graham. Those were the 3 players that I most wanted to get out of the first round. And if the Browns were going to move back to 5, then hey, that's a fantastic idea. And for everybody to just shit on this idea because they didn't get a flashy player because they didn't want to sell tickets, guys, in the NFL, you win it with more than just one player. Okay? It's very clear. Like Patrick Mahomes is clearly considered the best quarterback, and he didn't have a great season last year. They got smoked in the Super Bowl by the Eagles. Lamar Jackson still can't get to a Super Bowl. He's a 2-time MVP. When was he taken? He wasn't taken in the top 5. Yes, Saquon Barkley was a difference maker, and he was taken at 2, but he was a running back. Travis Hunter, in some eyes, is not even the best wide receiver, and he's definitely not maybe the best corner. Like, it's kind of 50-50 of where, like, there's scouts that are all over the place. Like, he is a generational gifted athlete type of talent, but there is still work to be done. And given the fact that, hey, Browns needed a ton of help, and the Jags were so desperate to trade up for a non-quarterback in that situation, this was an easy decision. And I don't understand why everybody's freaking out. And people like Tony Grossi saying, hey, yeah, I'm out on Andrew Berry, man. And he lost me there. It's like, what? This was a sensible move to make just because he didn't take a player you liked and he traded back and took a defensive tackle who's a really good player at 5, and you added multiple picks, including a first rounder next year from a team who's probably not going to be very good. What's the matter with y'all? What's the matter with everybody? Even the media types. This was the move that they had to make because what had we been talking about in the whole process in the lead up to this? This is you're not going to rebuild this thing. This is not a playoff team. They've got a long, long way to go. And you add these picks, and now you add a first rounder next year. You're in position to take your franchise quarterback within the next 2 years. And if you don't want to, swing on Jalen Milroe, if you don't want to swing on Shedeur, you go into next season with Joe Flacco, and you go into next season with Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. And then potentially if Jacksonville stinks, then, hey, you potentially have 2 cracks in what's going to be a really good quarterback class next year. I think this was a brilliant move from the Cleveland Browns. And anybody who tells you otherwise is an idiot. Is an absolute idiot. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.